Welcome to our channel. Here's one man's random act of kindness that completely changed an old woman's life. Part 1. Everyone passed her by. It was a typical Tuesday evening in New York City. Traffic bustled. People hurried along the sidewalks, heads bent over their phones, eyes blank, not seeing anything or anyone around them. All except Thomas. This 19-year-old had taken a break from his part-time job at a local diner when he spotted an elderly woman standing on the corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. She seemed confused, clutching a tattered coat tightly around her as if trying to shield herself from something. She kept muttering to herself, but the words were lost in the wind, inaudible to all who passed by. For some, it was just another face in the crowd, a homeless person, one of the many in the city. But for Thomas, something in her posture, the slight tremor in her hands, and the vacant look in her eyes made him pause. At first, it was just a glance, a split second of eye contact that lingered just a little longer than usual. But then he found himself captivated by the sight of her. Hesitantly, he took a few steps closer, each sound of his footsteps echoing in the vast urban space until he was right in front of her. Startled, the woman looked up, her cloudy eyes searching his for a moment before she quickly looked away again, as if embarrassed to be noticed. Part 2. The corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. As the minutes ticked by, Thomas watched the woman. He saw how she struggled to maintain her balance, how she occasionally stumbled, and how she clutched at her chest as if in pain. He could see that she wasn't just another face in the crowd. She was a person who was hurting. "Excuse me," he began, his voice echoing in the cavernous street. The woman flinched, startled by his sudden intrusion into her silence. When she turned to face him, Thomas saw a pair of eyes filled with fear and sadness. "Are you all right?" he asked gently, extending a hand towards her. I don't know where I am," she replied, her voice shaking. Part 3. Kindness. Thomas didn't ask who she was or why she was there. He didn't need to. In that moment, he saw only a person in need of help, and he acted. "Well, we can go and find somewhere warm for you to sit," he offered, his tone soothing. Taking her hand, he noticed that it was cold and frail. Despite his own youth, he felt a surge of protectiveness towards her. Together, they walked away from the bustling crowds towards a quiet cafe tucked away on a side street. As the warmth of the tea and the sandwich filled her and Thomas sat patiently beside her, the woman slowly began to open up. She spoke about her family, her life, and the dreams that had once driven her. Thomas listened intently, offering words of comfort and encouragement whenever she faltered. To him, this wasn't just an act of charity. It was a connection between two souls, a reminder that even in the busiest city in the world, one can still find moments of peace and humanity. Part 4. Search. When the woman fell silent again, Thomas knew that it was time for him to leave. Before he did, he bought her another cup of tea and a sandwich, hoping it would sustain her until he could return. But he couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more he could do. As he walked her back to the corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street, he promised to come back the following day to check on her. Part 5. Hope. The next day, Thomas returned to the corner, his heart pounding with anticipation. Had she been there the whole time? Had someone else helped her? His eyes scanned the crowd, searching for a familiar figure, and there she was, sitting on the same spot, but this time with a slight smile on her face. Upon seeing him, she waved, and he rushed over, his heart lifting with each step. He had brought her some soup and bread, but it was clear from the untouched food in front of her that she had already been fed. As he sat down beside her, she told him about a kind gentleman who had brought her food and money, but he had left so quickly that she didn't catch his name or even his face. Part 6. The name. Determined to find out who had helped her, Thomas asked if he could search the internet to try to find out more. With her permission, he pulled out his phone and started typing. His fingers flew across the keyboard as he searched for any news article or social media post that mentioned a wealthy man helping a homeless woman. Minutes ticked by, each one filled with a mixture of hope and despair. Then suddenly his fingers froze on the keyboard. He had found something. Part 7. Searching the Web. With shaky hands, Thomas clicked on the link. It was a blog post detailing the story of a generous billionaire who had given $1 million to a homeless woman. But what truly caught his attention was the woman's name. It was the same name the woman had told him. His heart raced as he read on. The billionaire had done so much more. She had funded schools, hospitals, and orphanages all over the world. She was a true humanitarian. And then it hit him. The woman wasn't just any homeless person. She was a former tech mogul who had once been worth billions. She had everything, but somehow had ended up on the streets. Overcome with emotion, Thomas read every word he could find about her, determined to understand her story, her struggles, and her triumphs. Part 8. The Gift. With newfound determination, Thomas continued his search. He wanted to find this woman and tell her about the blog post. He knew that she deserved to know about the incredible act of kindness that had been done in her name. As hours passed, he discovered more and more about her. He learned that she had been a brilliant programmer who had co-founded a major tech company. But as the years went by, her shares had dwindled, and she had lost control of the company. She had fought back, but it was no use. She had lost everything. And now here she was, living on the streets of New York City, forgotten and alone. Part 9. The Encounter. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Thomas found the billionaire. She was in a small apartment in the Upper West Side, living a life of solitude and obscurity. He knocked on the door, his heart pounding. When she opened it, she was surprised to see him. But when he told her who he was and why he had come, her face lit up with gratitude. She invited him in and offered him tea and cookies. As they talked, Thomas shared his plans to make sure she got the help and support she needed. He wanted to give her the dignity and respect she had lost, but she stopped him, her eyes filled with tears. "You have already done so much for me," she said. "I don't need anything else." Part 10. The Letter. Thomas didn't believe her, but he respected her wishes. Instead, he promised to visit her regularly and make sure she never felt alone. Before he left, she handed him a letter. "What's this?" he asked. "It's a thank you," she replied. "And a gift." He opened the envelope and his eyes widened in surprise. Inside was a check for $100,000 and a letter that read, "You have reminded me what kindness feels like. For that, I will be forever grateful. I want you to use this money to help others in need. You have a big heart, and I know you will make a difference in the world." Overcome with emotion, Thomas realized that the woman wasn't just giving him money. She was giving him a chance to change the world. And that's exactly what he did. With the money, he paid for his college tuition and helped his family get out of debt. But he never forgot the woman who had inspired him to be a better person. Years later, he became a successful businessman and philanthropist, always remembering the woman who had shown him the true meaning of kindness and compassion. Part 11. The Legacy. As the years went by, Thomas became a successful businessman and philanthropist, always remembering the woman who had inspired him to be a better person. He started a foundation in her name, which aimed to help people experiencing homelessness and those who, like her, had fallen through the cracks of society. Through the foundation, he provided food, shelter, and job training to hundreds of people, giving them the chance at a better life that she had been denied. He never forgot the lessons he had learned on that busy street corner. He knew that sometimes all it takes is one human moment to change someone's life forever. And so the story of Thomas and the tech mogul became a legend, a tale of kindness and compassion that inspired people around the world to see the humanity in everyone. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.